Hi, I'm Rashonda Cade. This is Reading with Rashonda. We are reading The Escape by William Wells Brown. We are on Act 5, which is the last act, and there are 5 scenes in this act. We will get through scenes 3 and 4 today, even if we have a little extra time. I'm not going to get into scene 5. Scene 5 is kind of weighty, and I'm sure I'll have things to say. So, The Escape by William Wells Brown, Act 5, Scene 3. A street. Enter Mr. White. Mr. White, I am glad to be once more in a free state. If I am caught again south of Mason and Dixon's line, I'll give them leave to lynch me. I came near losing my life. This is the way our constitutional rights are trampled upon? But what care these men about constitutions or anything else that does not suit them? But I must hasten on. Um, okay, because literally um under our current administration, let's read this again. This is the way our constitutional rights are trampled upon, but what care these men about constitutions or anything else that does not suit them? Y'all tried to tell me that reading 19th century US literature was not relevant. That's the most relevant thing I've read in a really long time. What but what care these men about constitutions or anything else that does not suit them? Oh, look, you can see all stuff in my closet hanging up. Normally I take that down before I start. Oh well, here I am. Enter Cato in disguise. It does not explain the disguise. Perhaps we will learn more. Cato, I wonder if this is me. By golly, I is free as a frog, but maybe I is mistaken. Maybe this ain't me. Cato, is this you? Yes, sir. Well, now it is me, and I am a free man. But stop. I must change my name, case old massa might follow me, and somebody might tell him that they seed Cato. So I'll change my name. And then he won't know me if he sees me. Now, what shall I call myself? I'm now a suspectable part of the country, and I must have a suspectable name. Ah, I'll call myself Alexander Washington Napoleon Pompey Caesar. There. Now that's a good, long, suspectable name, and everybody will suspect me. Let me see. I wonder if I can't make up a song on my escape. I'll try. Sir, Alexander Washington Napoleon Pompey Caesar, that is quite a name. And everybody will suspect you, just as you said. All right, so this is his song. I'm not going to try to sing it, but it apparently goes to the tune of Dearest May. I do not know that song. If y'all know it, put it in a chat. Like, tell me more. Now, freemen, listen to my song, a story I'll relate. It happened in the valley of the old Kentucky state. They marched me out into the field at every break of day and worked me there till late sunset without a cent of pay. And the chorus goes, they worked me all the day without a bit of pay and thought because they fed me well, I would not run away. Massa gave me his old coat and thought I'd happy be, but I had my eye on the North Star and thought of liberty. Old Massa locked the door and then he went to sleep. I dressed myself in my best clothes and jumped into the street. They worked me all the day without a bit of pay, so I took my flight in the middle of the night when the sun was gone away. Said I, this child's a free man now, he'll be a slave no more. I traveled faster all that night than I ever did before. I came up to a farmer's house just at the break of day and saw a white man standing there. Said he, you're a runaway. They worked me all the day without a bit of pay and thought because they fed me well, I would not run away. I told him I had left the whip and baying of the hound to find a place where man is man, if such there can be found. That I heard in Canada that all mankind are free, and that I was going there in search of liberty. They worked me all the day without a bit of pay, so I took my flight in the middle of the night when the sun was gone away. I've not committed any crime. Why should I run away? Oh, shame upon your laws that drive me off to Canada. I guess they want me to pronounce it Canada. You loudly boast of liberty and say your state is free, but if I tarry in your midst, will you protect me? They work me all the day without a bit of pay, and thought because they fed me well, I would not run away. They work me all the day without a bit of pay, so I took flight in the middle of the night when the sun was gone away. Exit. So Cato sings, and it is in dialect, and he had a previous song that was like in the King's English. So what do you think? What do you think's going on with the difference between the dialect of one song and the lack of dialect of another? What I think is happening is in the song that was really about the kings, that was in the King's English, if I am remembering correctly, he was talking about the plight of enslaved people. I'm trying to go back and find it. Okay, yeah. It was Come All Ye Bondmen Far and Near to the tune of Dandy Jim. But it was about their plight, and they're thinking about going to Canada. And it was earlier in the play. And this, he's talking about, I am going to Canada. I have escaped. So I think the first one may have been like a call to the audience, because the audience was likely people for the abolitionist movement, and like, this is what's happening. And this one in dialect was like, I'm free, praise the Lord, I'm free, take that, all of y'all. Now that could very well have been in great upstanding, as it were, English, but I think the reason for the dialect here is to kind of evoke more emotion for it, particularly in the choruses. They work me all day without a bit of pay, and thought because they fed me well, I would not run away. They worked me all day without a bit of pay, so I took my flight in the middle of the night when the sun was gone away. And so we've been talking about fleeing at night. We've been talking about the North Star. And I think here it's like, they thought I wouldn't run away because they fed me, but they were wrong. So I don't know if, like, I am kind of making a big deal between dialect and not, and I'm not explaining it super well, but I think it's something of note. And what do you think about it? You can tell us that too. So Cato exits, and now we are on scene 4, dining room, table spread, Mrs. Neal and Charlotte. Mrs. Neal, thee may put the tea to draw, Charlotte. Thy father will be in soon, and we must have breakfast. So immediately we know, with the these and thou sort of talk, that they are coming upon a family of friends or Quakers, because I honestly don't know if that's how they talked, but I assume it was, because in every book that I read, that's how they talk. All right, I'll read Mrs. Neal again. Thee may put the tea to draw, Charlotte. Thy father will be in soon, and we must have breakfast. Enter Mr. Neal. Mrs. Neal continues speaking. I think, Simeon, it is time those people were called. Thee knows that they may be pursued, and we ought not to detain them long here. Mr. Neal. Yes, Ruth, thou art right. Go, Charlotte, and knock on their chamber door, and tell them that breakfast is ready. Exit Charlotte. Mrs. Neal. Poor creatures, I hope they'll reach Canada in safety. They seem to be worthy persons. Enter Charlotte. Charlotte, I've called the mother, and they'll soon be down. I'll put the breakfast on the table. Enter neighbor Jones. Mr. Neal. Good morning, James. Thee has heard, I presume, that we have 2 very interesting persons in the house? Jones. Yes, I heard that you had 2 fugitives by the underground road last night, and I've come over to fight for them if any persons come to take them back. Yes, that's the kind of neighbor you want to have. I don't know who you got up in here. I understand that they're fugitives, though, and if anything is going down, I am here to fight. Yes. All right. Enter Thomas. Mr. Neal. Go, Thomas, and harness up the horses and put them to the covered wagon and be ready to take these people on as soon as they get their breakfast. Go, Thomas, and hurry yourself. Exit Thomas. Mr. Neal continues. And so thee wants to fight this morning, James? James. Yes. I love that. He didn't start off with, I don't want to fight, but I'm up for it. He just said yes. Um, I'm sick and tired and I'm ready to fight, is what James said. Okay, this is what James actually said. James said, yes, as you belongs to a society that don't believe in fighting, and I does believe in that sort of thing, I thought I'd come and relieve you of that work if there is any to be done. Way to go, James. Enter Glenn and Melinda. Mrs. Neal. Good morning, friends. I hope thee rested well last night. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Mr. Neal. Good morning, friends. I hope thee rested well last night. Mrs. Neal. Yes, I hope thee had a good night's rest. Glenn. I thank you, madam. We did. Mr. Neal. I'll introduce thee to our neighbor James Jones. He's a staunch friend of thy people. Jones. I am glad to see you. I've come over to render assistance if any is needed. Mrs. Neal. Come, friends, take seats at the table. They'll take these seats there. To Glenn and Melinda. All take seats at the table. Does thee take sugar and milk in thy tea? Melinda. I thank you. We do. Jones. I'll look at your Tribune, Uncle Simeon, while you're eating. Mr. Neal. Thee'll find it on the table. Mrs. Neal. I presume these anxious to get to thy journey's end? Glenn. Yes, madam, we are. I am told that we are not safe in any of the free states. True and sad, particularly after there were several fugitive slave laws that were enacted. The one in 1850 was the harshest of them, and like they were just rounding up black people in free states, whether or not they were considered fugitives, and like shipping them off to be slaves. If you have never read the book or seen the movie 12 Years a Slave, do it. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in that aspect. And it was funny. I went and saw that movie with my mom, and we've not gone to see many movies together. So that stands out to me that I went to go see it with her. And so we settled in and we were waiting for the movie to start. And I was like, I loved the book. I hope the movie is good. And my mom was like, you read the book already, but the movie just came out. And I was like, the book came out in the 1800s. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, my mom is deceased and I like to think about her and talk about her. So that was a really good memory that just popped up. Anyway, we'll keep reading. I'll read the last two lines. Mrs. Neal, I presume these anxious to get to thy journey's end? Glenn, yes, madam, we are. I am told that we are not safe in any of the free states. Mr. Neal, I am sorry to tell thee that that is too true. Thee will not be safe until thee gets on British soil. I wonder what keeps Thomas. He should have been here with the team. And Canada at the time was British soil. Enter Thomas. Thomas, all's ready, and I've written the prettiest song that was ever sung. I call it the Underground Railroad. Mr. Neal. Thomas, thee can eat thy breakfast far better than thee can write a song, as thee calls it. Thee must hurry thyself, and when I send thee for the horses, Thomas, here, lately, the O. It's punctuated in a way that, let me read this again. Thee must hurry thyself when I send thee for the horses, Thomas. Here lately thee takes thy time. Thomas, well, you see, I've been writing poetry. That's the reason I've been so long. If you wish it, I'll sing it to you. So now we have Thomas and Cato both singing their little hearts out. Jones, do let us hear the song. Mrs. Neal, yes, if Thomas has written a ditty, do let us hear it. Mr. Neal, well, Thomas, if thee has a ditty, thee may recite it to us. Thomas, well, I'll give it to you. Remember that I call it the Underground Railroad. It is sung to the tune, Wait for the Wagon. Is that wait for the wagon, wait for the wagon? Did I just make that up? I feel like I've heard that before, like in a musical or something. like maybe Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, which I really, really enjoy, even though it is like an ode to misogyny. But I like it anyway. And I feel like Wait for the Wagon is not from that. And I don't know why I'm doing this March thing. Okay, I'm just going to read Thomas's song. And remember that all of these songs and poetry and all of this is written by William Wells Brown. And like I'm saying that because it's like, oh, Thomas wrote a song. Well, William Wells Brown wrote a song and he chose to deliver the song through Thomas. So it's worth thinking about the songs that he writes and who he chooses to deliver the songs through. So here's Thomas's song. Oh, where is the invention of this growing age, claiming the attention of statesman, priest, or sage? In the many railways through the nation found, equal to the Yankees' railway underground. Chorus. No one hears the whistle or rolling of the cars while Negroes ride to freedom beyond the stripes and stars. Oh, I love that chorus. No one hears the whistle or rolling of the cars. Why not? Because it wasn't an actual railroad. People walked, got in wagons, ran, swam, hid out, but it wasn't a railroad. So there were no whistles or rolling of cars. So that's really clever to me. While Negroes ride to freedom beyond the stripes and stars. So notice the use of the word Negroes here versus the N word, which has been rampant in this. And freedom is beyond the stripes and stars, and the US flag is the stars and stripes. So I really like this chorus. All right, let's keep reading. On the southern borders are the railway stations. Negroes get free orders while on the plantations. For all of every color, first class cars are found while they ride to freedom by railway underground. Yes, first class cars. On the southern borders are the railway stations where Negroes get free orders. Yes. Okay. Let me do this again. On the southern borders are the railway stations. Negroes get free orders while on the plantations. For all of every color, first class cars are found while they ride to freedom by railway underground. And I like for all of every color because it's really saying anybody, but like also enslaved people came in every color. We've talked about white slaves. If you think of every complexion that exists, enslaved people who were legally black were all of those complexions. And so now the chorus. No one hears the whistle or rolling of the cars while Negroes ride to freedom beyond the stripes and stars. Masters in the morning furiously rage, cursing the inventions of this knowing age. Order out the bloodhounds, swear they'll bring them back. Dogs return exhausted, cannot find the track. No one hears the whistle or rolling of the cars while Negroes ride to freedom beyond the stripes and stars. Travel is increasing, build a double track. Cars and engines wanted, they'll come, we have no lack. Clear the track of loafers, see that crowded car. Thousands passing yearly, stock is more than par. Thousands passing yearly, we're getting people out. Ah! No one hears the whistle or rolling of the cars while Negroes ride to freedom beyond the stripes and stars. Yeah, and that's it. I got like legitimately for real happy. People getting out, people getting free. Jones, well done. That's a good song. I'd like to have a copy of them verses. Knocks at the door. Charlotte goes to the door and returns. Enter Cato, still in disguise. Mr. Neal, who is this we have? Another of the outcasts, I presume? Cato, yes, sir. I is going to Canada and I met a man and he told me that you would give me some wittles and help me on the way. By golly, if there ain't Glenn and Melinda, they don't know me in these fine clothes. Goes up to them. Ah, chillin', I is one of you. I golly, I is here too. They shake hands. Glenn, why, it is Cato, as I live. Cato thought nobody would recognize him. Melinda, oh, Cato, I am so glad to see you. But how did you get here? Cato, ah, child, I came with old Master to hunt you. And you see, I got tired of hunting you, and now I am hunting for Canada. I left the old boss in the bed at the hotel, and you see, I thought afore I left Massa, I'd just change clothes with them. So you see, I is fixed up. Ha ha! I chillin'. I is gwine with you. Mrs. Neal, come, sit down then and have some breakfast. Cato, thank you, madam, I'll do that. Sits down and eats. Mr. Neal, this is pleasant for thee to meet one of thy friends. Glenn, yes, sir, it is. I would be glad if we could meet more of them. I have a mother and sister still in slavery, and I would give worlds if I possessed them, if by doing so I could release them from their bondage. Thomas, we are all ready, sir, and the wagon is waiting. Mrs. Neal, yes, thee had better start. Cato, if anybody tries to take me back to old Massa, I'll pull every tooth out of their heads, that I will. As soon as I get to Canada, I'll set up a doctor shop, and won't I be popular? Den I reckon I will. I'll pull teeth for all the people in Canada. Oh, how I wish I had Hannah with me. It makes me feel bad when I think I ain't a-gwine to see my wife no more. But come, chillin', let's be making tracks. They say we is most to the British side. Mr. Neal, yes, a few miles further and you'll be safe beyond the reach of the fugitive slave law. What we just talked about. Cato, that's the talk for this child. Exit. So that ends scene 4 of The Escape by William Wells Brown. So today we read Act 5, scenes 3 and 4. I'm Rashonda Cade. This is Reading with Rashonda. Until next time, bye-bye.